Justin doesn't know that we're live.
We are live this week. Hey, Internet. How's it going? This week, how one robot proved to the world that machines can trust humans. At least, Canadian humans. The Windows Store is a cesspool of scams and nonsense, something technology experts would have noticed a lot sooner if anyone bothered to open the Windows Store. And Lego wishes they invented Minecraft. So do I. You got an hour? Good. Get comfortable because my name's Justin Pott. I'm in Boulder, Colorado, and you're listening to Technophilia. Keep doing that. With me today from the UK, as always, is Mr. James Bruce. How's it going, James?
I don't really trust humans, but I think I trust machines.
You trust machines?
A lot more
I think
than
that's
humans.
kind of what this story reveals most profoundly. We'll get into that in a bit. But also with me in Connecticut is Dave LeClaire. How's it going, Dave?
I invented Minecraft, but then I decided that I wanted to give it to that Notch guy because he was really poor and I felt bad for him. So
That makes a lot of sense.
I'm generous.
Yeah. You're a good guy, said no one ever. Also with us from all around the world are people in the chat room. You can join us live every week at makeuseof.tv/live. It's around 1 in the afternoon, Eastern time zone. I don't think they have time in England, so you'll just have to guess over there. Is it 6 p.m., James?
Yeah, it's 6 p.m. here.
Anyways, you should really go for that. But for now, I really am excited to talk about Hitchbot, because robots can trust humans, like I said before, in Canada at least. Hitchbot's a $2,000 robot housed in a bucket. It's got arms made out of pool noodles, and it's armed only with the ability to ask nicely for a ride. And it managed to hitchhike 4,000 kilometers across Canada in under a month. Not bad considering she doesn't have legs or any way to move without human assistance. This little robot brings to mind a lot of big ideas. Most humans think of technology as something that helps them, Yet here's a robot asking them for help. Hitchhiking's disappeared from North America because of safety concern. Yet here's a wandering hitchhiker people are more than willing to trust, even though they don't trust humans anymore. And science fiction has taught Westerners to fear robots for decades, yet this robot mostly just makes people happy if Twitter is any indication. There are so many pictures of people who are just thrilled to have met this little bucket with a face, more or less. It's fantastic. And if you see it, you know why. It's designed to be really cute. Now, we all have relationships with technology and they're complex. Many of us spend more time touching our phone than we do our significant others or children. But we wouldn't say that we love our phone in the sense that we love the people in our lives. And I'm not saying people loved Hitchbot, but there was a certain amount of kinship there with the people who found it, it seems like. If you scroll through the stories of people who have met this robot. I don't know. So we talked a few weeks ago, James, about the Turing test.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least it was on the site. And what that test is trying to look at is whether a machine is conscious. And I heard a professor talking on the media, one of my favorite podcasts, a few weeks ago, that asking if a machine can think is kind of like asking if a submarine can swim. It's like an irrelevant question. And I'm wondering what you think of that. Is it relevant if a machine is actually thinking or not, if it has the ability to make friends in some sense, if it has the ability to use these friendships and these social connections in order to accomplish something like travel? I mean, is the question of whether this thing is a person relevant, or is it just cool because it has abilities that humans have, and we shouldn't try to get so caught up on this one-to-one comparison? What do you think?
I think it's not actually about consciousness. The Turing test is more about whether it communicates with a human or not. And that in and of itself is a really terrible test of intelligence, because things like marine animals, like a dolphin, is largely considered to be like the most intelligent mammal around, right? Except for humans, I guess. But that can't communicate with a human. So does that automatically make it non-intelligent? Like, why don't we test humans by their ability to communicate with computers?
So Dragonmouth is one of our most famous commenters at makeuseof.com, and under a recent article on this subject, he said, I think there's a lot of humans who would fail to pass the Turing test. I think that's apt. I've talked to some online. They email me sometimes. I don't know why they email me, but they do. I don't think the Turing test is useful in that way. And Turing himself never saw it as anything more than a thought experiment. It wasn't like, when this happens, then the dawn of machines is upon us. It was more just a thought experiment that people have been taking way too seriously. But I think Hitchbot is a very fascinating look at this question, because it's pretty clear to anyone who talks to him that this thing's not human. This thing's not conscious.
shit.
But it knows enough in order to have a conversation with it if you want. It apparently has all of Wikipedia memorized. So if you ask it about any subject, it'll talk about it. It's got voice recognition. But most of what it does is it sits by the side of the road, asks if it can get a ride, says, I'm trying to get Victoria, can you take me west? And it kept going. Now, there's a lot of empty space across Canada, so it's kind of amazing that he kept finding rides. I don't think anyone could hitchhike across Canada in the current environment of stranger danger and social mistrust in 3 weeks. Maybe I'm wrong, but this robot did it pretty quickly. And I'm wondering if people do, at some level, like you were saying, James, trust robots more than people. A person, if you let them into your car, they've got their own agenda. They could want to rob you. They could just want to ride and want to get somewhere, but they also could be psychos. You don't know. A robot that needs you to pick it up before it can move, you can trust that. So people just let it into its car because, yeah, it might have a mind of its own, but for the most part, its agenda is pretty clear. I can understand it. So yeah, what do you think that says about society, that people trust this little robot and let it into its
says we're pretty stupid, really, doesn't it? I mean, this robot could have been programmed to release a toxic gas as soon as it detected someone talking to it, right? There's nothing innate about it that said it couldn't.
And that's still humans, though. So it still all comes down to the fact that we're not distrusting the robot. You're still distrusting humans. Yeah. The human programmed the robot to do that toxic gas, or the human programmed the robot to blow up when it gets put in a car. But the robot itself is still a nice guy. He didn't want to do those things. He was forced to by his
robot's a nice guy. So no, this is interesting. You're talking about this robot, even though it is killing people, as not having any bad intentions, but you're kind of implying that it has good intentions, but really it doesn't have intentions at all. So far as
it has no intentions. Stuff. He's just, he's just hanging out.
It's a female.
You're a female.
I think we get hung up on this idea of consciousness far too much. And we say, when will a robot become conscious? And really, we don't even know what consciousness is for ourselves. And instead of defining it as this extra module that you put in a robot and suddenly it's conscious, maybe it's just something that naturally arises once you have a certain number of neurons in a brain, That's...
Yeah. A certain number... I mean, it's neurons connecting to each other that forms what we think of as consciousness, right? It's enough ideas connecting to enough other ideas that eventually takes form as a self. And I don't think it's relevant, like you said, if a machine is conscious or not. I think it's kind of a silly question. I agree with you there, James. Scudderman in the chat room points out there's an episode of Star Trek The Next Generation that answered this question. It concluded Data, who's a fascinating science fiction example of this question, may or may not be classifiable as human, but could be classified as an artist. And that's an interesting question. I don't know if you saw the latest CGP Grey video this week, James?
No.
Who?
CGP Grey. He's a YouTuber I talk about a lot. He made a video this week looking at all the jobs that people do right now and how many of them are vulnerable to technology basically replacing these jobs forever. Driving is by far the single biggest category of human employment in the United States of America. And the technology exists right now for those jobs to go away. And there's a lot of other categories of jobs, including things like doctors. There's going to be a lot less need for human doctors to do stuff because these machines are being developed that are pretty capable. And this isn't science fiction. This isn't us saying this will happen in 20 years. A lot of this technology exists right now. So I'd recommend checking out that video. There's some big societal questions around that. Like, do we need to stop thinking of employment as how we feed ourselves? Do we need society to feed everyone? Because, there's not going to be a lot of work in 10 years. I think this is a legitimate concern. And I don't think the machines care about it. And I don't think we should think of the machines that care. So Hitchbot likes to say a lot, apparently. I am the result of human imagination. That's like its catchphrase, so far as I can tell. And you know what? So is every single machine in the world. So is this computer I'm staring at right now that allows me to talk to you, So, you're right. We can't think of these machines as having an agenda of trying to overtake us. But people still put narratives onto things. People really liked the idea of the story of Hitchbot. The idea of this helpless robot that wanted to get across the country. And that's powerful, isn't it, Dave?
I don't know, because it's still just some dude who made this robot. And he wanted to get the robot across the country because he thought it would be funny. And it would draw visitors
to his
website.
Do you know what? I think actually it was just one person that carried Hitchbot the entire 4,000 miles. Like, no, wait, maybe they don't have the internet, and suddenly they came across this robot that knew Wikipedia, and they were just like, mind blown, I've discovered an alien. And they carried on driving 4,000 miles the whole way. Fascinated by this.
It was
thing.
an Amish family that found this thing.
If you look at it, it looks like it goes directly, the map looks like it goes directly across one of the Great Lakes. Not around it. But right.
Oh, is it Lake Superior there?
I guess, I don't know. If you look in the middle-ish of its journey on the map, it looks like it just crosses a Great Lake. Like, I don't know. I don't know what happened there. But look, like right above Wisconsin. It just goes right straight across the lake.
Lake Superior. Did it maybe take a canoe ride?
Maybe somebody put it on like a ferry or something. Like
there were pictures of it taking a ride, but maybe it's not. Is it the same if you zoom? Oh, this is just a photo. I don't know.
Yeah, that's weird.
So,
right?
Thinking that this is
rough. Look, our current chat,
it
kind of ties into this future tech story that we published on Make Use of a couple of days ago about a new chip developed by IBM called a neuromorphic chip. And basically, it's created in exactly the same way that the human brain is, that neurons are connected to thousands of other neurons. It has like, what does it say, 4,096 cores. Each has 256 synapses, which is the connection between neurons. And effectively, this is 1/4 of the size of a mouse brain. So it's nowhere near the size of a human brain yet. But if you think about how computer chips started, how the CPU started as like back in the day, a 486, compared to where we are now 5 years later, or 10 years later, God, I don't know how old I am. Like, if you think of this doubling every year, then we're not really that many generations away from having a chip which is the same number of neurons as a human brain, and that's both exciting and terrifying.
Well, and what happens after that? Because these things grow exponentially.
Right.
And you don't know. And I don't know. So someone in the chat room is saying that I'm a communist mouthpiece. I couldn't be further from that. I love capitalism. I think it's a fantastic system. I just honestly don't know what to do if all of the jobs people are doing right now go away. There are some new jobs that have come into existence. Again, watch CGP Gray's video. I'm just kind of spouting what he said here. But there's some jobs that are new, but they're not making up the majority of what people do. So right now we're telling people you need to go to college to ensure you have a good job. So now absolutely everyone in the world needs to go to college because there's not going to be janitors anymore. There's not going to be truck drivers. All these things are going to be automated. You can't stop it. You just can't. Even if you wanted to stop the machines from taking over these jobs, it's going to happen because it's cheaper.
The whole idea of working is going to have to be destroyed.
Yeah.
We
got to think of something. And I'm not saying it should be the government redistributing wealth, but there's got to be some kind of idea.
Well, you're going to have to.
I don't know what it is.
I mean, there's no way around it.
It's in the company's best interest, too, because if no one has money unless they have jobs, well, then no one's going to buy anything, and I don't know what exactly these companies are going to do. This is a society-wide question, and I'm not saying it necessarily even needs to be the government that does it, but this isn't an answer without a problem. A CGP Gray's video had, at the beginning, two horses sitting around in the early 1900s saying, one of them saying, I don't know, all of our jobs are going away because of these cars. And the other horse is like, oh no, think about it. We just don't have to do hard jobs anymore. We're going to have way better jobs now than we did before. But the horse population's been in decline ever since. And it's not because horses are lazy and couldn't find work. It's because they're useless anymore. Like, there's no reason to hire them.
Hey, horses are still useful. You can ride them.
Sure, for fun.
That's racist. You're racist against horses.
What?
I knew it. I always knew you were a
horsist.
Can't.
There are fewer horses on the planet now than any time in the last 2,000 years of human history, and it's because we don't have a use for them outside of races. They used to do all of our work for us.
Racist.
From farming
you just said it. Yeah? Racist. I knew it.
Okay. Whatever. Anyways, if you haven't seen this video yet, you really should, James. I think it's right up your alley. I don't know. I've been thinking about it a lot, and I've been thinking about it because we've got this context, right, where robots are kind of scary and we don't really know what's going to happen. And then we've got Hitchbot, who's this cute, cuddly thing. Like, he's not really cuddly. She's not really cuddly, but she's, just kind of there. A guy, one of our coworkers, said that maybe this experiment doesn't prove that machines can trust robots. Maybe it's just that Canadians are really friendly. He joked Hitchbot's U.S. cousin was beaten down and sold for scrap parts just 30 yards from where he started. And that was by the police, he said. And that's the closest we're going to get to talking about Ferguson this week.
It's just funny because it's true.
Yeah, we're not going there, though, so move on.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
I mean, few readers have requested it. If you want to know about that, follow me on Twitter. I'm all over it. It's important, but it's not directly related. Anyway, so we've got this idea that maybe it's just that Canadians are really friendly, and that's why it happened. I don't think that's it. I think if you did this experiment in the U.S., it'll go just as well. And you know what? They're gonna do it. Hitchbot is going to travel to other countries eventually. It's just right now he didn't have a data plan outside Canada, so they asked nicely that no one took him down south. My wife Kathy joked that someone should take him down south because it would be funny. But I was scared. I was worried for the little guy that he might end up in the States.
Thought you just spent ages explaining it was a girl.
Oh, did I say guy can be both genders?
Okay, sure.
This is a problem. Sexism in robots. Because I keep assuming that this thing is a guy.
I think we should keep sending him around different countries and see where he gets destroyed. That would be fascinating.
He'll get across Nigeria just fine, and in the Netherlands they'll beat the crap out of him.
No.
You don't know what would happen. It could happen anywhere.
He'll get across Japan. He'll get across Sweden. There's no way he'd get across England.
You don't think so? England's tiny. Or are you talking north-south? You wouldn't do east-west. That's too small.
England's
North,
tiny,
south,
but
east,
that just means there's a higher rate of people that will kill him in a smaller space. Her.
Why would anyone kill this thing, though?
It's
got cameras all over it.
That's how we do things in England.
Yeah. I think Canada was the right country to start testing it with, but I've got more hope than you. I really do think it would have worked in more places. And you know what? They're going to try it, so it'll be fun to see where Hitchbot goes next. But yeah, I don't know. There's something about cute robots that are just so much more appealing than scary-looking ones, and I think you're going to see this as a design concept, more the Japanese model of robot building than the traditional American one. We're not going to build the Terminator. We're going to build like a little adorable cats and stuff, and that's going to make it a lot easier. Yeah.
We spent a lot of time talking about a hitchhiking robot.
Well, hitchhiking robot and robots in general, we can move on. I'm writing an article about this right now, so I was unpacking some of my ideas.
They're all
and you can check that
ideas.
article sometime in the next week.
Stupid ideas.
What's up?
Stupid ideas.
Stop writing articles while we're doing a podcast, damn it.
I use the podcast to get ideas.
Stop using the podcast as your brain. Damn it! What's the word I'm looking for? Your brain.
Brain trust?
No.
Brainstorming?
Yes, your brainstorming session. Bullshit. You're double dipping right now. You're getting paid to do the podcast, and you're using it as a means to make your articles. This is not fair. Yep. I'm suing. I don't know who I'm suing, but I'm suing someone.
Dave,
what?
Start doing it. It leads to an interesting conversation.
All right, let's just do it right now. Let's.
Okay.
I'm gonna write an article about a Windows Store scam that's going on. Why don't you guys tell me about it?
Well, I'm afraid our coworker Chris already did this.
God damn it, Chris!
Site.
Oh, is this a?
This is
one of Chris's, right? Okay, I didn't realize that. Sorry.
Yeah, this is a really common thing where we think of an article idea and we Google it and we find out that Chris Hoffman has already written it. That guy is a machine.
I went to Reddit last week and this was the number one post on r/technology. It was actually number 2 because there was a mod post, but that doesn't really count, above it. That's auto-pinned to first place. So this was it was the number 7 post overall on my front page of Reddit. I was like, damn, Chris, you a baller.
Yeah.
It was well deserved.
Should we get on to the actual story?
Something that Microsoft's not talking about, and that's that the Windows Store, which you know that screen you click past to get to the desktop when Windows 8 first boots. One of the buttons there is called Store, and if you click it, you can find software to download. But a lot of really common software is not in it, right? Because it's only Metro apps. So you can search for VLC, say, but you're not going to find VLC there. There's no Metro version of VLC. Oh wait, there is. Is there one? I don't even know.
No, I don't think there is.
Oh, they do. VLC offers an official Windows 8 app, and that's at the top left. But there's a bunch more VLC apps, this article points out. And if you click them, they'll charge you $2, and then they'll launch a nice Metro screen that gives you a link to the place where you can download the free desktop version of VLC. So, pretty clearly a scam, pretty clearly crap. And, you know, on the iPhone and even Android, James, an app like this wouldn't be accepted because it's quite clearly crap. Now, Microsoft, the article points out, claims that there's a human going through these apps and making sure that they're good. But if that's true, why are these things here? Why are they showing up? It's outrageous to me. I don't understand.
It's ridiculous. And VLC, possible. Of course, is like free, right? So it's totally even more galling that these fake, like, here's how to download this apps are charging money for it. And so Microsoft approves
There's
them
another
just
one,
so they can make
if
money.
you search iTunes in there... Sorry for cutting you off, James. If you search iTunes, there's a $8.99 app that, quote, helps users to know how to download and use iTunes, end quote. So that's crap. All you have to do is Google iTunes and get it, right? So Windows has an app store. Hardly anyone bothered to put their apps there, and there's all kinds of scammers that are taking advantage of this. But I don't think Microsoft cares, and as Chris implies in the article, the thing is Microsoft just wants its store to look active, and if there's stuff there, any stuff, they can claim we've got 300,000 apps. Yeah. Okay, 200,000 of them are scams, but we've got 300,000 apps, and that's what they're going for. It's outrageous.
I just think this is really disgusting because the whole point of an app store is to curate things, to make it easier for users, to show them a list of official apps and things that work, and not to scam people. And this is flying in the face of it, and it's just one of the many reasons that Windows 8 sucks so many balls.
It's the place where you're supposed to find the real apps. It's the place that's supposed to be safe. There are fake paid versions of, this is from the article I'm going to quote here, Adobe Flash Player, Firefox, Pandora, IMDb, Candy Crush Saga, WeChat, WhatsApp, uTorrent, Picasa, BlueStacks, Minecraft, Spotify, Google Hangouts, Picasa, Clash of Clans, Blender 3D. Wow, that's 16 and we're just getting started. So basically if an app exists, someone is using the logo of that app, using the name of that app, and just slapping it on a link and charging money for it.
And the thing is, you'd kind of expect that on the internet. Like, if you went to Google and you typed in VLC, you're likely to see a bunch of scammy ads at the top. And in Bing, too. It's not unique to Google or anything. And that's what these stores were set up to solve. That's the whole point of them.
Yes. And they're not solving it.
They're not.
So, congratulations. You've rebuilt download.com. I hope you're happy. Moving right along. More Microsoft news this week, because I know that's what you people like. Latest IE suffers from what's called a consecutive model dialog box bug, which infinite pop-ups, basically, after the latest automatic update. That's right, automatic. This just happened. Now, most of us didn't notice this because we're not using IE, but those of us who did, what are they seeing, James?
I don't have IE to test this, I'm afraid. Okay. But that's what I read it as, multiple pop-ups that go, yeah.
Wow.
So it affects Internet Explorer 7 to Internet Explorer 11. It's not just the latest one, but they had a hotfix or something, and when anyone installed it, it would cause everything to become unresponsive. So I just love the first comment on this article. There's a free program named Chrome that removes the IE virus.
Oh, man. So I heard another related story this week, that Microsoft has considered at various points rebranding Internet Explorer and trying to just give it a new name so they can move on completely from all the baggage. Now, Internet Explorer isn't as bad as its reputation at this point. I wouldn't say it's the best browser, but it's not as bad as it used to be. So I think a rename would be a really good idea.
What would you call it?
Because Internet Explorer... I see, this is the thing. Microsoft really sucks at naming things.
What if they called it Exploring the Internet? It's like totally new.
You can't repaint a turd, though. It's always going to be a turd.
What if they called it Web Browser?
It's way better than it was, though. What if they just called it Web Browser?
Being better than it was does not make something good. It's still the worst. It's still full of
I don't know.
crap.
I mean,
I've heard that it's gotten substantially better, and it might even be usable now, from what I've read.
Dave, can you do an experiment for us?
What?
Can you attempt to switch to Internet Explorer for your web browser for 1 week and come back to us and report your experience?
Damn, dude, that's harsh.
I could do that. Maybe I could make that as an article.
That could totally be an article. I'd read that. Because you've been a Chrome user for years, right?
No, I switched to Firefox now. I had to.
Okay.
But
so you're a Firefox user.
I've been a non Internet Explorer user since Firefox came out, Firefox 1.8 or something like that. So yeah.
Because I'm going to make a confession here, James. I have been hearing the argument that Internet Explorer isn't as bad as it used to be for a long time. I have repeated this argument. I have no idea if that's the case or not.
It's not.
None. I got to be honest. I don't know. So, Dave, if you will do that, I am sure Tina will approve it as an article. You should go for it. I would read that.
Yeah, I'll email Tina.
Be honest.
See what she says.
Do it. Okay, see, brainstorming for articles on the podcast. Done. We're doing this. This is happening. But you got to come back and talk about it on the show here first, because I want to get the exclusive reaction.
Oh, jeez.
I want the exclusive.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. Exclusives.
Okay. Moving right along. What do you do with a crap product? You rename it, James.
Well, that was that story, yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know that was the story. I'm an idiot.
Yes, that was that story. They are considering renaming IE.
Okay, well, we've bashed Microsoft enough.
Wait,
let's
but
bash
we should
one
really
of their
try to
competitors.
come up with some names, though. Let's really brainstorm.
Oh,
some
for
names.
Internet Explorer?
Yeah, what?
Well, we could name it after famous explorers, giving some continuity, but a new name. So we could call it Galileo.
Columbus.
Galileo. Columbus.
Yeah, Galileo. Columbus. I don't know. That's got.
I think Galileo is already a
could
thing.
Be a pretty good, browser name. Marco Polo.
Marco Polo.
I would be.
Yeah.
I'd be down with that. Every time you go, I gotta open Marco Polo, you could play a game with yourself, and it'd be fun. You'd opening.
Former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich, points out that I'm asking you to get hacked, Dave, and I'm sorry for that, but that is what I'm doing. Yes. So we could do explorers for this, but also just the concept of browsing.
What about Looking Glass?
Where else
Something
do you browse?
with Bing is probably what they would rename it.
Go
the Bing box.
Bing
search engine provided by Microsoft as part of Windows 9. They really suck at naming things, is my point. So Internet Explorer, baggage aside, is actually a pretty good name, and I think they should probably leave well enough alone, because
they could just call it the Internet.
That's basically what everyone called it for 15 years.
Well, just embrace that. Just put an icon on the desktop.
Yeah.
To internets.
They probably
the
they probably
internet,
call it Xbox browser, like how they randomly have Xbox music and shit. So it's Xbox browser, even though it's on your PC.
You know what? Let's bring the Zune brand back. Let's just say Zune browser, powered by Xbox, brought to you by Microsoft.
Yeah, Zune browser powered by Xbox.
Okay, I feel like we've bashed Microsoft enough now. It's time to bash my second favorite bashing target.
Okay.
Linux.
Oh, crap. So, the city of Munich has been on sites like Slashdot, you've been to all of the sites that talk about how great Linux is constantly, all of which I subscribe to and enjoy reading, by the way. They have been pointing to a long time to the city of Munich as a pioneer, as a city that is ditching Microsoft in order to save money, and they're going to use Linux, and it's going to be this huge deal. They've been working on this since 2003, and it looks like they're switching back. They can't get it to work. Now, they wanted to save money on licensing costs. They wanted to reduce the city's dependence on a single company. All good goals, but practically speaking, it was really hard to implement. People didn't like it. And you know what? I will say in 2003, when this was implemented, it was probably a good idea. I would say what is killing Linux right now isn't Microsoft, isn't the Mac. What's killing Linux right now is smartphones, because all these people who used to just design apps on Linux in their spare time for fun are now trying to design apps for money on the App Store. And the developer base for Linux applications is just gone, and you can tell. All the applications that do exist aren't getting updates as quickly as they used to, and new ideas just aren't popping up. Everyone who's creative and's got a new idea is trying it on mobile. They're not paying attention to the desktop.
I feel like there's so many freaking there's so many distros. Like, if I was I'm gonna go install Linux right now, I just saw an article went up on Make Use of yesterday, and it's the best Linux distros for students. So I'm like, so if I'm a student, there's a separate version of the OS that I should install. But if I'm like a noob, I should install Ubuntu because that's supposed to be like the easiest. If I want to play games, I install Steam OS. Like, it's so complicated.
I think that one of the biggest problems with Linux in terms of mass adaptation is the same problem with anarchy, right? It's just by your ideology, you're going to be mad at anyone who tries to centrally plan and tries to take control of this. And because of that, you're never going to succeed. Linux had a massive opportunity with Ubuntu 5 years ago. But once the distro became popular enough, all of the big programmers, all of the big activists for Ubuntu started saying, nope, this company's got too much power. Don't want any company to have too much power. Everyone use something else. And everyone scattered. And then, and people say that, no, this is the strength of open source. You need to understand, you know what? For regular users, trying to figure out which Linux distro you want to install is a problem. If someone said, oh, I'm going to try out Ubuntu, and you, like, snort it, nah, you should try Linux Mint, it's way better, Ubuntu's terrible. Like, you're the problem. You're why this hasn't caught on, okay? Because I might get a lot of crap for this, but, like, that's it. Like, and it's the same reason anarchy will never be a viable political system. As soon as there's a great anarchist leader, everyone's like, that guy's got too much power. We're anarchists. We can't let this happen. You're never going to get anything done that way. You know what? Ubuntu had a shot, and you guys killed it. You did. And now everyone's switching to Macs.
It seems like if all of the distros were Debian-based, we'd be better off, because then there would be one way of installing stuff that you could teach people, not, but
compiling
you're
always
from
gonna have
source
one guy
or
saying,
whatever. It's just, that's the problem, because they'll download a distro and... I used to do this.
Having someone in charge is good. Yeah, you're right. But you can't get people to agree on that. There's always going to be one guy who's like, you know what, Debian's crap. I tried to fix it. The developers won't listen to me. I'm starting my own thing. It's called Justin's Package Manager. It's going to be way better. You guys should start using it. And then a couple distros start using that, and it splinters further and further. I used to think this was a strength. I think a lot of good ideas came from all these different distros. But I always thought eventually someone would combine all these ideas into one thing that's easy for everyone to use. And you know what? It's not happening. The second anyone makes something that's popular, everyone else piles on to try to drag it down. So,
this is why we can't have nice things.
I think this is why we can't have nice things. But Apple can have nice things because there's someone in charge. And if people say, this is crap, I'm leaving, well, at least it's their own company that they go off to and you never hear from them again.
So what was the main problem that, Munich had with Linux? One thing they said was the price, because they needed, custom programming for everything.
There was way more support requests from everyone in the company once they switched to it.
No shit.
And it's just a lot harder, yeah. Well, because people know how to use Microsoft. As much as you don't like Tina's article the other day, it does have some points that are somewhat valid in this.
No, because if they'd have switched to Macs instead, they would have been far better off. Oh, just throwing that out there.
Yeah, but you never would have gotten that through politically. But no, I've seen companies that switch to Macs, and I know you've never had to do tech support in a sense that makes you deal with humans.
Yes, I have!
They're just as confused.
Yeah. What are all these applications?
When did you do tech support?
I did tech support in Kyoto University Asian department. I supported all the old professors who had no idea how to use computers at all.
And you had to explain how to do it?
Yep.
Cool. Hey, Dave.
Yo!
This seems like a good cutoff point. How about we stop and start syncing our recording?
Stop!
Okay, we're doing this. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep podcasting.
I burped.
So, Google wants children to use their service. Yeah, that got a little weird. So right now, technically, if you want to sign up for a Google account, sign up for a Gmail account, and you're under a certain age, it's basically not allowed. You're basically not supposed to. And this is true of Facebook and lots of services, because in order for kids to use your service, you have to set it up in a very particular way. There's regulations, at least in America, about this. And these regulations are such that most companies just say, yeah, you know what? not going to let kids use their service. So they add the terms of service that they can't. Google's trying to change that, so people under 13, I think it is, will be able to use it. And, yeah, we'll see. I'm glad to see a company try to do this somewhat legit, because most companies have just for a long time been saying, nope, no one under 13 is allowed to use their service, and then all the kids just lie. It's just a lot of lying has been going on, because, you know what? Kids want an email address. Kids want to be able to use Facebook. And if their parents think that they should be able to, there's no reason not. So I'm glad to see Google moving forward on this.
I remember lying.
There should be certain rules.
I remember those. I remember having to set up an AOL account when, say, I was 13, when I was like 11, and I was all scared that like the internet authorities were going to come to my house and arrest me for lying, but they never did.
Yeah,
they never did, guys. I'm still here.
Huh.
And now I've just admitted to it. So now, oh shit! Now they're going to come.
Internet, the cyber police are coming.
14 years
Dave.
later, they're coming. 15, 16 years later, they're coming to get me.
Cyber police, you're dead. You're dead. You're screwed. Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
I don't know. Did you lie about this, James?
I didn't need to. We didn't really have social networks when I was a kid.
Yeah, but you had email.
What about,
I forget I'm like 5 years older than you. Email? I had a Hotmail for years.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, you had to. They said
I don't
you
remember
didn't be 13.
Hotmail.
No, you didn't have to lie for that.
Did they ask for your age? They didn't at first, I don't think.
Maybe they
13,
didn't ask
I mean,
for.
the
Maybe
internet
they
was
didn't
just a
ask
toy.
for your age. I'm sure it was in the terms of service that you have to be 13,
Yeah.
but maybe they just didn't explicitly.
Hang
ask
on.
for your
I
birthday.
probably was 13. I mean, I wasn't lying about this. Hotmail only came out when I was like 13.
Wow.
In fairness.
That's true. You are an old man, so.
James, you're
You're a little kid. Jeez.
Tell me.
How old are you, James?
Tell me
I always
stories
forget.
about the 90s.
I'm...
What was Ronald Reagan
Jeez,
like?
how old am I?
Were you friends with Thatcher?
You're in your 30s, right?
82, so, 32.
Oh, you're like 3 years. That's 3 years older than me.
82? You're like
not
a
that old.
freaking dinosaur, man.
Oh, wait, what year were you born?
86, yo. I'm like a little kid.
86? That's 3 years.
I'm the end
4
of
years.
86 though, October. So I'm like barely
4.5 years younger than me.
I'm like a child compared to James. Could be my dad practically.
What?
Hi, Daddy.
I became your dad when I was 4 years old.
Okay, you're weird.
That
James really started
Isn't
young,
true
man.
at all.
He started young.
Yeah. Apparently.
Apparently, get it?
Solid start here. Oh, man. You know, we do this thing when we talk where we say something, but it's not meant to be taken at face value. I don't know if you've noticed this, Dave.
I just did it.
So sometimes I'll say something like, the Windows Store is the single best app platform on the planet, and if you're not in there, you're irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
When you hear that, you know what I'm saying isn't serious, but there are certain people who have no ability to detect this whatsoever. And these people are called Facebook users. On Facebook, it's become really common for stories that are quite clearly supposed to be taken as jokes to be taken seriously, shared earnestly as though they were real. There was a prominent example a few years ago about Kansas City's $14 billion abortion plex and how it had escalators and a big fountain. And yeah, like, people took it seriously. They thought, I can't believe the government's wasting money on this. It's just despicable. But it was a joke. Like, clearly that's a joke. $14 billion is a mind-boggling amount of money. You could buy, like, 7 Instagrams with that. So, clearly not true. See, that was another example of something that's not completely supposed to be taken at face value. Anyways, Facebook is going to stop this. They're going to start showing a satire tag in brackets. Now, how can we stop this from making the internet fun? I believe you should go to all of your crazy uncles' houses. I think you should call up your parents and explain that satire means that it's a very serious article that you need to spread. It's kind of like retweet. And I think that'll solve it.
See, this is why I don't think this is going to work. Because if people are stupid enough to believe onion stories, they probably don't know the word satire in the first place, right?
Definitely.
Maybe they should just tag it as untrue. Like, just straight up spell it out for them. Just
this
not
be whack,
true.
yo.
That's what liberal...
Something like that. Yeah.
That's what liberal Facebook wants you to think. They want you to think this isn't true, so they're putting that tag there. I know the truth.
I think we can combat this by just writing a satirical piece on every single website ever. And then if they...
Because right now it filters by site, right? It knows that the Onion is satire, and that's when it adds the tag.
So if we just get every site labeled as satire, this will totally work.
Can we make use of labeled as satire so that we just
Hell yeah.
post gets tagged as satire?
It is satire. Didn't you see the article we wrote about why Windows users should stick with Windows? That's total satire. That was satire, right, Justin?
That article infuriated me. I liked it. I didn't think it was as bad as you did.
Yeah, I like screaming at my computer. I enjoy that on a regular basis.
It should have been labeled as an opinion, I'll say.
Should have been labeled as satire and a joke.
I think it was very true. Boom.
Boom.
I mean,
that's why you need the satire tag, Dave.
Well, to be fair, basically everything that I say has some type of sarcastic undertone to it. So, yeah, I pretty much do need a satire tag, like just over my head. Like that little thing in The Sims, that little green triangle. I need one of those that just says satire.
Just satire.
Don't believe anything this man says.
Don't take it seriously.
Oh, hey, that might be our title right there.
Don't take it seriously.
So. This man speaks. This man speaks falsehood.
There you go.
Moving right along, there was a pretty good article published in the Future Technology section of Make Use of this week about how the metaverse won't look like you think. Now, James, I think we've talked about this in the past, how you've never read Snow Crash.
Oh, no, because I did, but I didn't finish it all the way to the end. I got bored.
Oh.
But I read most of it about the metaverse, so yeah.
I've never even heard of it.
So it was a science fiction book written in the early 90s, so before the internet was really a thing, let alone virtual reality, and he predicted a world in which we'd all connect on a network of computers and interact with each other in something called the metaverse. Second Life was actually influenced by this book. They were trying to create something like it, a virtual world where we can all walk around and interact with each other. And this article looks at the ways in which... I mean, it's amazing how many predictions he made that have more or less come true, but he also predicted that nation-states would cease to exist and corporations would run everything. So, you know what, that might be accurate. Never mind. Anyways, he pointed out how right now there isn't one metaverse, there's lots of little small ones, mostly games. And I think games will be how this thing begins, as Andre points out. And there's just a lot of other good points. You don't want everyone sharing one world is another really good idea. I like the internet right now in that Reddit users are on Reddit and 4chan users are on 4chan. And yes, they interact a little bit, but for the most part, we should keep those people on those sites so that they're not on everyone else's.
I don't actually agree with this article at all, sorry. No? I mean, you're saying that you need a different system for each kind of... each party of people, and you don't really. You can just have different areas, say. You could have the furries area, you could have the gay area, you could... You know what I mean? It could be one metaverse, and apart from which, with...
Do you think...
What?
Do you think it's likely to happen that there's one virtual reality world that all of us...
I think it's especially likely considering that Facebook bought Oculus. I mean, that's what they're working towards. They're working towards a Facebook
That's what
metaverse.
You think Facebook's trying to do?
Of course
do you want to live in a virtual world built by Facebook, though? Do you want that?
I don't want to live in it, but I don't see why I wouldn't enjoy it just as any other MMO. I don't... Like, why would it be any different? It would
because it's Facebook...
There's going to be
Facebook's
autoplay
so
video ads. They're not evil. They're just annoying. Every time I use their product, I'm like, oh man.
I mean,
why doesn't this work the way
maybe
I
the
want?
I'm never going to be able
to
figure out jokes. I'm never going to be able to figure out jokes for myself in this virtual Facebook because everything is going to be tagged as a joke. Where's the challenge?
Yeah,
I think if they create a great metaverse with tons of advertising everywhere, people won't complain. It'll look just like the real world. And they won't have screwed it up.
It won't look like my world.
Yeah, I still can't get my head around that.
Yeah. This Man is Disingenuous is a potential title. That's not bad, Dave.
That'll work.
Anyways, interesting article. Check it out, guys. Let us know what you think. Apparently, moving right along from Facebook to another major social network, you're not allowed to post goal clips to Twitter. So let's say you're at the game and you record the goal happening with your cell phone and then you put it online because you're so happy. That's illegal. You're not allowed to do that. Now, during the World Cup, services like this were going crazy. We actually, at our company chat room, I found a bot that would just, in our company chat room, post a GIF of the goal within seconds of it happening. I have no idea how they did this. It was amazingly fast. So I could see this being a problem. So our sports highlight property, the Premier League in the UK certainly seems to think so. I mean, they want people to go to the TV or to go to their website in order to see the highlights. And if they're on Twitter right away, Vine, I think, is a big part of this. That's a pretty clear violation. But sports highlights are different than other videos, right? Because a movie is worth as much today as it is a year from now. A sports clip is basically only worth something for the next 24 hours, maybe, and it's worth the most right after it happens. So it's a completely different value question, and you can't count on traditional enforcements to protect that value. What's your take on this, James? Do you think that the sports leagues are being too harsh, or just impractical?
It's ridiculous and impractical for a start. But I just found claim it's a breach of copyright. Like,
playing what?
It's a breach of copyright, basically. I didn't realize that you could apply copyright to a sports game, to a live event that's going on in front of you. Right? This isn't. I mean, if you think about something like theatre, maybe I could see it being applied, but
I could see it if you're taking the broadcast of the sporting event and taking a clip from that, right?
Sure, that's
because you can copyright the broadcast, but you're right. If you're in the building,
you're in the stadium, you're filming it.
How is
that a copyright breach,
different?
Right? Yeah, this is what I don't understand.
Now, because you're devaluing all of their broadcast.
Yeah, all of these sports games have contracts with broadcasters. The broadcasters pay millions of dollars usually to get the rights to put these things on television. And it's unlikely that the league would exist if everyone could just go there with their own phone and start their own TV channel to cover it, right? Like a lot of the money's tied up in the advertising.
But yours is going to look crap. I mean, you're not down by the goal. You can't.
Okay, let's say we rule it's okay if you're at the game to film it, right? And broadcast it live. Let's say it's perfectly legal for me to go to a game and stream it to Justin.tv is not a thing anymore. Let's say Twitch, right?
Okay.
TV.
Let's say that's legal. Right now it's going to look like crap. Who knows what kind of crazy awesome cameras we'll have 5, 10, 15 years from now.
It'll always be...
That's a really short-term way to think about it.
It'll always be behind. I mean, it's like saying that a cam quality copy of something in the cinema is going to have any effect at all on the overall end performance of the actual movie in the cinema. It's not.
I mean, that's different, right? Because you're recording what's already a recording. If you're there in person and you have a camera, so let's say you've got 5 different people all with their own cameras and they can all shoot in HD, and you're streaming them all to the internet, and then there's some guy who gets all the signals first and picks which ones to show when and also shows replays. The technology exists that you could roughly do this right now. And that would be a clear violation. I don't know about the copyright law implications, but it would certainly destroy the business model of all pro sports.
I think you're taking things a bit too far there, and once you went that far, you would be able to clearly say, well, that's ridiculous, you can't be allowed to do that. But it's the way they focus on goals, and they say just like a 6-second clip of a goal. Maybe I don't get it because I couldn't give a crap about football, but why is there so much emphasis placed upon a goal being...
So
I don't get it.
Watching games in real time is the most exciting way to watch it, right? If you're not watching it in real time, if you're watching it just after, you just basically want to see the goals and the highlights.
You want to see the big plays, and the goal is the biggest play. So
doesn't that get boring?
And right now on the news, when they show those highlights at 11 o'clock after the day, you're paying. The TV stations are paying for the right to rebroadcast those because that is their property. And a lot of that's tied up in the broadcast rights, right? But if anyone could just go and film, that's a different question. Now, for photography, they've never enforced anything like this because a photo's not going to diminish the main property that the sports team has, which is the live broadcast. But yeah, I don't know. I think there's an interesting line here because theater, you're right, that's clear cut. This is a created good. Is sports an art? I don't know.
Well, no, it isn't.
Maybe you could make that argument.
I don't know. It's this whole goal thing that gets me. Yeah. I don't want to ruin it for you, but the ball goes in the net. Every time, that's what happens.
Oh, but the way it goes in the net, the way it does.
Well,
it
sometimes
is
it curves a bit. Sometimes it goes. It goes in the net generally.
Sometimes a superhuman Dutchman jumps 50 feet across the field in order to get a header at just the right moment. Like, I'm sorry, it's pretty friggin' exciting, and I could see it.
I'm never gonna get this. Never ever gonna get this. Whatever.
Yeah, if you don't get sports, you're not gonna get sports. I'm never gonna understand the Oculus Rift, James. I'm just not.
No, you will, because
Books
it'll
are
be
more
strapped
immersive.
to your face by law in a couple of years.
Holy crap!
I'll understand
let's hope it
that
doesn't
I
come to
don't
that.
want one.
Let's move right on. There's some image research this week. I think you added this here, James.
I did a couple of really cool things that I found on Reddit. The first one is from Carnegie Mellon, and if you click through the link and watch the video, what they do is they basically take a static photograph, an image, and they identify some kind of object in it, say a car, and then they grab a freely available model of the car, a 3D model. They apply that into the image, they interpolate the rest of the 3D model, and they can create a new animation based around the
Are you kidding?
3D manipulation of that car. So you can... It's a really clever way to change a photograph. The only thing being, of course, that you need a 3D object. But they also said that if the 3D object doesn't precisely match the one that you've found in the photograph, they can actually tweak the object automatically to fit in with the way the photo shows it. So they'll match the shape to the photograph. It's stunning. I don't know what you could use it for. It's just stunning.
Well, you could use it to do the stuff that happens on CSI, and people will say, well, that's not possible. You could do this if you're working with a photo of something that's iconic enough for someone to have bothered to create the 3D model, right?
So all we need are 3D models
like an
of everything.
iPhone. Of everything on Earth.
Everything.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. But I could see someone doing it with famous works of art, sculptures, say. So, yeah, could give a lot of opportunity for manipulating photos in all kinds of interesting ways.
But it's very difficult to
what else we got?
Describe this in words, though. So do go check out the link. And a good thing that comes out of Microsoft. Hey, it's not all negative this week. They created something that they've called hyperlapses from a first-person GoPro video, basically. So, you know, the kind of things where you'll mount a camera on your helmet or something, and then you'll ride down a mountain. And even if you speed it up, it still tends to look really crazy shaky just because it does. And what they managed to do was to combine... I don't know if you remember Photosynth, which was something they made where you have a lot of pictures and they build up a 3D scene from it.
Yeah, okay.
So it's kind of like that, but they've combined that with every frame in a video to create a hyperlapse, which is a super, super smooth stop-motion video, basically, going through. So it kind of looks like a video game, they describe it as. It's like...
Interesting.
Really, really crazy, hyper-realistic video tour of something, which is very cool. And they've promised to release it as a Windows Store app next year sometime.
Well, there's a good reason to go into the Windows Store app. Just make sure you find the real one and not one of the 20,000 fake ones that are being offered for $20. Shall we move on to the gaming news, gentlemen?
Yes.
This is the part of the show where Dave LeClaire talks for a little while.
What's a
Dave,
video game?
Lego, apparently. Lego wishes they invented Minecraft. This makes sense. The first time I saw Minecraft, I'm like, oh, someone finally made a decent Lego game. Now, Lego's been making video games for 20 years, I'd say. I remember Lego Island as a kid. But none of these games let you just build stuff with bricks.
How did they
there are
not
always
think of
games
that?
that happen to have bricks in them. I don't know how they never managed to get the essence of their product, which is using bricks to build things creatively, and just put it digitally, one-to-one. Like, I don't know how they never thought of this.
They made Lego... They made an online
Yeah.
web app where you can build your own stuff and then get it printed out as a... Well, not printed, what am I saying? You could get it as an actual product.
That's not the same.
But they never
though.
made a
That's
game
the
out of
video
it, no.
game.
Yeah.
That's not a game.
No.
That's not a game. That's what I'm saying.
That's just an
Minecraft is
extension
basically...
of the physical Legos in the digital space, not a straight-up digital Legos like Minecraft.
I'm surprised they didn't sue, to be honest.
the essence of Lego is unlimited creativity, right? You can do whatever you want. There's no rules. You can follow the directions if you want. You can also just build whatever you want using the parts that you have. And obviously, virtual Lego would be awesome because everyone... Yeah. But it's not just a game.
Is it too late for them
Legos.
to make virtual Legos, though? Like, just because Minecraft exists, don't you think the Lego brand still carries enough power?
If they made a virtual Lego and gave it Oculus Rift support, I'd be totally down with that.
Right, yeah, that's what they totally need to make it a success, is Rift support.
That is.
The 5 people.
Do it, Lego, do it.
Why the hell haven't they just bought Minecraft?
Well, they can't afford
Can
Minecraft
they afford it?
now. Not anymore.
Are you kidding? Lego
Minecraft would probably sell for
just
like...
this spring, they had one of the top-selling movies of the past 10 years.
Minecraft would probably sell for like $4 or $5 billion at this point. It's still... still every month the number 1 or number 2 top-selling video game. Every month for like 4 years now. It sells as much as like the games that just get released, and it sells that every month consistently. That's on like the consoles. That's not even counting the actual PC Minecraft and iPhone Minecraft. I
just did a quick Google search, and the grandson of the founder of Lego has a net worth of $5.9 billion.
Well, they're gonna. Yeah, so, I'm saying. I mean, they could afford it, but
is that all?
Would you really?
Yeah.
Would you really buy?
That's
person. One
I don't
guy.
Know what
that's
worth.
one. That's a lot for one person.
Yeah, I was just looking at their annual reports.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure like
Lego's
they could afford Minecraft. Like they would have the capital to do it, but at this point, like Minecraft has already made a lot of its money that it's going to make. Is it worth the investment? It'd be a large chunk of their liquid assets, if Notch would even sell it.
I mean, combined, Lego's brand leverage and Minecraft's brand leverage, it would be huge. But it's it's too late.
But that's
You're
the other
right.
thing too. Is would Lego be willing to use a different brand for their thing? Like, would they? They probably would have to at least call it like Lego Minecraft or something. They wouldn't want to have a thing without their brand on it.
So, anyways, Lego is working on a new game. I think they missed the boat here because they never, so far as I know, put out a game that captured the essence of Lego, which is unlimited freedom to build whatever you want. They might have put out products that let you do that, but they never turned it into a game. Minecraft basically did that. They turned it into a game.
I mean, like I say in the chat,
they're working
Minecraft
on something.
is only kind of a game. I mean,
Lego's operating profit in 2012 was about 1.2 billion.
That's their profit. That's a lot of profit.
That's what I'm saying.
Actually, not that high, though, is it?
Toy companies on the planet.
I don't think most companies turn over a billion in profit.
That's their profit? That's not their revenue. That's their profit. You're saying?
That's a really big profit. That a lot of companies make that in revenue annually. That is a lot of profit.
So the most profitable company on the planet, I believe, is Apple.
Yep.
Really? Well, I guess
I'm
that
just
makes
trying to
sense
get a point of comparison
they
here.
charge $1 billion for everything.
Yeah, their stuff's so expensive, right? But I don't know. So they make like their operating, their revenue last year was $170 billion. So for a company that just makes plastic blocks to be doing that well is
plastic blocks, movies,
pretty favorable.
Video games.
Yeah.
I mean, they do have plenty of Lego video games, and they are good, but they're not really. They're more based on whatever
Lego
property they're based on. Lego Batman or Lego Indiana Jones. The Lego part is
there's no building in them really.
It's just you collect like Lego pieces. They dropped the ball.
So I could see why they wish they invented Minecraft, because when I, as a kid, pictured a Lego video game, I think Minecraft is what I would have had in mind, using blocks to build stuff. That's the essence.
Gutterman says Minecraft is Hitler's lesser-known biography about his love of knitting, with the mine spelled M-E-I-N. Okay. I thought that was pretty funny. You don't think that's funny?
What? No.
Minecraft. Get it?
Oh,
it's Minecraft. Minecraft.
Oh, Nazi puns.
I thought that was pretty funny.
We like Nazi puns. They're good. Keep them coming.
Speaking of Nazis, there's this YouTube channel
that
has nothing on it but a particularly bad Happy Birthday song with tons of different names inserted in it. Okay. And one of the names, for some reason, I don't know if this is a common name in India or what, is swastika. And it's one of the funniest things I've seen. Happy birthday, swastika. But for some reason, there's one verse, happy birthday, and then it sings happy B-day, and then it sings it in Spanish, and then it goes back to happy birthday, swastika. And there's pictures of cats on during it. I gotta put this in the chat room. This is the weirdest thing.
You're the weirdest thing.
You're gonna like this one's. This is for you guys, chat room.
Right, moving on.
Yeah, check it out. I'm gonna put that in the outline. I don't know why it exists. Moving right along. Xbox has a Reddit app now, so James, as you say, the console wars ruling.
It's over, bros. They won.
It's done.
Yeah, that's really what I want to do on my Xbox One. I want to read Reddit. It's such a personal experience reading Reddit on my 50-inch TV.
I think it's more meant for the fact that Reddit is a very good source of the videos. You know.
That makes more sense. I'm wondering if it automatically filters NSFW stuff, because you don't really want that on a family console, do you?
I would assume it doesn't. No, you'll be able to access every subreddit.
Well, then that's what Mum's going to come down to find little Johnny doing in the living room, isn't it?
Well, that's the same thing little Johnny's going to do when he goes on his computer.
That's very true.
You know, little Johnny's going to find his Reddit porn no matter where you put it. He's going to find it.
Yeah, there's no stopping
when little Johnny wants to have a wank, he's going to have a wank, James.
Oh my god, you just dragged this right down. I was trying to keep it nice and family friendly there.
Trying to keep it
Well, I figured I would use British words because it makes it sound less, like, weird if you say, like...
Yeah, okay.
No, well, in my American brain, having a wank sounds a lot nicer than...
It sounds so friendly. All of your slang sounds so friendly,
compared to, like,
James.
jerking off. That just sounds so, like...
Really? Because I laugh when I hear that.
Because for you, you're not used to that. So, but for me, it's...
Yeah. No,
I'm just going to go really jerk off. Yeah. What? Really?
But to say, that's what I feel like when I say here, having a wank. Like, it sounds cute and fun. Like, he's having a wank. Aw, look at him have that wank. Just goes to show you, man. It's just...
Oh, uncomfortable now. Go away. Come on.
Where are we going? Oh, you're talking to
Have we got any more?
No.
I put in a note about here in case we wanted to talk about this like r/gaming censorship thing, but if you don't know anything about it, then we can skip it because
I know nothing about this story.
I don't know anything about it either. I just know that r/gaming is a joke.
Well, maybe read up on it for next week then. There was some kind of like mass censorship that happened, and I think it was all to do with accusations of... There was like a girl who released a Steam game about depression. It was like a
Zoe. I know that story. Zoe Quinn.
Yeah, and then the accusations came that apparently she slept with a bunch of gaming press in order to get it covered.
Here, let me tell you about that story because I'm a little more up on that story. So
okay.
So Zoe Quinn made a game called Depression Quest, and it's a game about a person who's depressed. And then
it's a game.
It's an indie game, a little weird kind of thing. So she's always kind of in like the public face for one, always with some drama on Twitter or whatever because she's like a feminist. That's whatever. So stuff came out from her ex-boyfriend. Apparently she cheated on him like 5 times, which is whatever. People cheat on people. Shit happens. But
no, they don't.
Some of them was with her boss, who's the boss of the developer, and that was kind of shitty. But the real problem was she slept with a guy from Kotaku who also reviewed her game favorably. That's where the drama comes into play. So not only did she cheat on her boyfriend, she cheated on him with
So wait, the writer... that's kind of icky.
I mean, the writers, the review may have had nothing to do with that. It could have been...
Doesn't matter if you're covering something. There's not this sense of traditional journalistic ethics in a lot of bloggers. But the reason these ethics exist is because shit backfires on you. Like it's not like we just decided that these are the rules and we're going to do them. Like don't get intimately involved with someone you're covering, and if you do, don't cover them anymore. That's just like a basic rule. I don't want to get into judging this scenario. I don't know about it.
It's a weird, complicated scenario with. It sounds like the shit's finally coming down on Zoe Quinn, which personally makes me happy because she annoyed me from the beginning. I got no problem with feminists, but her feminists
generally
shit
do.
It was just taken to like a super high extreme, and there was so many. And then it wasn't even her fault. There was so many of the white knights of the gaming world wanted to come to Zoe Quinn's aid, and you guys are being too hard on her. Blah, blah. Shut the fuck up. Let her handle her own shit. So it's really the white knight culture.
So okay, then there's this gaming censorship thing on top of that, where like an entire thread was just all the comments were deleted or something, and anyone looking at that on Reddit was just like, what the fuck happened there?
The comment graveyard.
So I'm not going to comment too much on this, but all I will say is that if anyone thinks that there's no gender issues in the gaming community whatsoever, you're simply not paying attention. Now, I don't know the details of Zoe Quinn. I don't know anything about her, but people are real assholes to women in this community, and it needs to stop. And if you have to say things like, well, not everyone does it, you're still kind of admitting that people do it, and that's a problem. So I don't know the details. I'm not going to comment on it much more.
I feel bad though, but I guess I feel like this particular girl seems like she had
was an asshole
shit coming. Yeah. If you find her boyfriend's WordPress blog that he started, he basically like breaks down the whole thing about how like she went on this she went on this big tirade with him at one point, how if you cheat on somebody and then sleep with your significant other, then you have essentially raped your significant other because that sex was non-consensual because you slept with somebody else, and then she apparently cheated on this dude a bunch of times. Like,
you know what? I actually agree with that, but then she went and did it herself.
But the fact that she did it 5 times, including in very unethical ways as far as business is concerned, it just kind of makes all this stuff that she said...
This is too personal, guys.
This is icky.
I don't know. Let he who's without sin cast the first stone.
Okay, I'll throw it.
None of us are perfect. I don't want our... I don't know. I wouldn't want anyone talking about my personal life to this extent. I don't think it's relevant.
I wouldn't either, but it's more the fact that it's only relevant because of who she cheated on her boyfriend with. That's what makes it relevant.
Yeah, I don't know.
If it was just 5 random dudes, then whatever. It's the fact that it was a dude who reviewed her game and reviewed it favorably, and her game's really not very good.
Yeah.
But she's got depression, right? So that's all okay. That makes it okay. She can do that.
Oh my goodness. There are so many things I'm uncomfortable with this conversation right now.
What do you care?
I love making Justin uncomfortable. It's so awesome.
I don't like it.
I don't like it.
I don't know.
Poor Justin.
I just like focusing on the positives, and we should all try to make things. And someday someone's going to discover this podcast, and your political career is going to completely get derailed, James.
James is political.
It's going to be because of conversations like this.
Political
James is
career?
going to be this close to being prime minister, and then someone's going to find out he said, "I don't like democracy" on a podcast in 2008, and it's all just going to go to crap. And it's because of this culture where we discuss things we don't understand, don't have anywhere near the level of information we need in order to make an actual assessment, and just make guesses, basically. And I do it too, and I think...
I was going to suggest one of us go sleep with someone to promote the podcast.
That's what I understand.
But I think the game reviewer is really to blame if he reviewed a game after sleeping with someone. That's... Yeah. I don't care if you're I don't know where the line is.
He should have turned it over to one of his coworkers and been like, "Sorry, I hit that shit, so you're gonna have to review this game, bro."
Yeah, more or less. She
probably told him to keep it a secret.
Same thing. If it's not even about sex. If you go on a date with someone, or if someone's your mom, or if like once there's that level of a relationship, you gotta.
Hey, I totally review my mom's games. All right, she makes fantastic.
You would at least disclose it. Hey, full disclosure, my mom made this game.
By the way, this game is by my mom.
It's a little easier to say full disclosure at the top. This is my mom, but if you say full disclosure,
yeah, well, but that's the thing. He couldn't say full disclosure because obviously that when you're cheating on people, it's a secret.
Anyway, moving on.
Moving right along.
Did you see the outline, Justin? Do you want to mention this?
Mention what
this
here?
Next point.
Let's wait.
Okay.
Let's wait. I'm still arguing with my boss about it right now.
All right, moving on then. We got some feedback.
I didn't even
right?
know about this thing that is on the island. This is the first I've heard.
Well, that's okay because we're not going to talk about it. So moving
Am I supposed
on.
to know about it though?
No, you're not. So moving on.
Well, I know now.
You. Dom sent us something.
What is next? Oh, Dom sent a nice message. A question for this week's show. I currently have a 22-inch monitor on my gaming rig.
Poor bastard.
Should I replace it with a 27-inch HD 4K or DK2? I don't know what that
so many acronyms
so
there.
Over to you.
So, I'm going to say get a 27-inch monitor, but it doesn't have to be... like 1080p or HD as it's known on the 27-inch is actually not that good. So you'd be looking at like 2000 and something pixels at least. Probably not 4K, because that would really ramp the price up. But a decent 27-inch, more than HD monitor would do you really well. I mean, I've had my 27-inch iMac for ages.
I prefer multiple monitors myself.
But the level of support just isn't there. It's not worth it.
Well,
for gaming, multiple monitors.
For gaming,
I guess if you've got like Twitch open.
Yeah, I like having
a
game open and then like a YouTube video open on the other one or something.
I think.
Oh, but if what you really want is the game to be really big, then a single monitor is the way to go.
There's not many games that do that. But if you do play a game that spreads across the two monitors, it's pretty freaking cool.
2 is terrible, dude. You've got a line down the middle.
Yeah,
you know what? You can afford it.
Should
3 27-inch monitors, HD monitors, would be best, obviously.
3 27s? That's insane.
Hey, Dave.
But hang on, if you've got the choice, and then I wouldn't have 3 22-inch monitors, right? I would far rather go for a 27-inch one. But about the last point, the DK2, the Oculus Rift Development Kit 2, no, you don't want that yet. It's still way nowhere near ready for prime time. There's only like 2
Oculus
games
is
that
only
are
meant for
actually
weirdos
good.
right now. It's meant for weirdos now. If you're a normal person, you don't get it.
I'm not going to disagree with you. You don't get it yet. It's not cool. Not yet.
I mean, I don't want it. You shouldn't say it's not cool. It is cool.
No, that's the wrong word. It is cool. It's
cool if you don't care about like wasting money on something that you're gonna have to buy again later.
Yeah, and also if you don't want to spend like an hour trying to set up every game because they all have different methods of playing on the Rift and things. It's a nasty situation right now. You don't want to be there.
Unless you're rich.
So, yeah.
In which case, just whatever.
Decent 27-inch, more than HD monitor, not...
Also, from our listeners on Facebook, Martin De Winter said, I suggest you guys should do the ice bucket thingy all together. No.
I think it's cool that the ice bucket thing has raised like millions of dollars and stuff, but I'm not going to do it.
If someone were to challenge me in a video, I guess I'd do it, but I'm not going to do it
I
on
still
the
wouldn't
show
do it.
just for no reason.
I would mix some ice in my blender and make, say, a cocktail and drink it, if that's
and then drink
suitable. Yes.
And then throw it up, and then
I
vomit the cocktail up in the air and have it fall down on your head and say you did it.
No, I can take my alcohol, thank you.
I have a friend that works in construction who filled up one of those like backhoe things, whatever you call them, the things with the big like lifter on the front with water, and dumped it on his head. I say, at least if you're gonna do that,
what a moron!
At least he went big though. If you're gonna do it, go big, right? I mean, be a man.
Yeah.
It's a game.
Like read a review about a.
Let's wrap this.
I want a 4K.
Let's wrap it up.
Let's wrap this up. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you like this show, please, even if you don't use iTunes, log into iTunes and subscribe to us long enough to leave a review, because even though you don't use it, other people do, and it helps the show. Don't ask why. It's weird. Technology's weird. It helps us do that. You can also leave a review on things like Miro if you want, and everything helps. If you want more of us during the week, you can follow me at Twitter at JHPot or Dave at Psydox. Don't follow James. It's terrible. I finally you are unfollowed as of this week.
Well, that's fine, because another 10 people followed me, so I don't need you.
How is this happening? They're not humans. They're robots.
They might be.
But that's okay, because that's who you love most. If you want to follow Technophilia, we'll post stories we might talk about during the week. You can go to twitter.com/thetechnophilia. You can go to facebook.com/technophilia podcast, or you can just go to makeuseof.tv, where you'll find the latest episode and links to subscribe on iTunes, RSS, and everywhere else. Thanks so much for listening, guys. We hope you keep listening, and I hope you have a great week. Dave, what are our final thoughts?
I have a final thought. If you'd like to subscribe to the new high-definition video feed, which is still a kind of work in progress, obviously, but you just need to type in makeuseof.tv/feed/video and put that into your podcatcher client, whatever you might be
But we
using.
will have it on iTunes.
Why don't we add a link to that? Why don't we add a link to that at makeuseof.tv?
That's a good
But are
idea.
many people using podcatchers? Are many people using podcatchers to watch videos? I've never done that. I've only ever used them for audio.
You subscribe.
Because why wouldn't you just use YouTube?
Well, because you want it sent
YouTube.
to you right away.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I don't subscribe to
You want
any
to download it for
podcast,
offline watching, I assume.
Yeah.
That would be the main reason.
I don't watch video podcasts myself. I watch them on YouTube, but I'm sure there's people who do.
Why doesn't YouTube do that? Does YouTube have an offline option, a watch offline? Is that a thing I missed? They should do that.
No, you have to use a third-party thing to download the video.
That sucks. Their app should do that. There should be the watch it later thing should download it to view later. Why don't they do that? God damn it. Google, go sort it out.
I think it's because of ad stuff. I guess they could I guess they could inject an ad into the download, and then when you watch it.
But
it's an
anyway,
ad.
show over?
Why would they offer an offline thing? That's
To help
ridiculous.
For people who want to watch offline.
I think-
put ads in it. I don't care.
There's an option where you can add a download button willingly if you want. It's an option.
Yeah,
You
that's
can.
not quite
I've seen it.
convenient.
And that doesn't. I don't think that works on phones though, does it? I think he's more referring to watch it offline on your phone.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway,
Well, if the downloads button there, sure. Anyways,
the
moving
show is
right
over,
along.
bitches.
That's it.
You're listening to Techno. You're listening to Techno. You're listening to Technophilia. Listening to Technophilia. Technophilia. You're listening. Technophilia. Doing that.
Well, I don't know who assigned that arbitrary rule that you can't drink in the morning, but I say bullshit.
Should we move on to the news then? Or you got something else? We'll see. Get off the internet and get to work.
I'm too perfect anyway. I got nothing to fix.
You're listening to Technophilia. Keep doing that. Technophilia.